Bible Stories with Liv. Today I've got a shorter story for you guys from the book of Matthew. So Jesus is giving a sermon, right, to his friend group, his squad, and to some other dudes. And J-Dog is like, okay, so y'all know that cheating on your significant other is wrong, right? And they're like, yeah, duh, that's wrong. Only a douche would cheat. And he's like, okay, but hear me out, my homies. Catch this drift. If you so much as a look at a woman and you lust after her, and they're like, oh yeah. J-Dog's like, yeah, that's just as bad as cheating. Are you dead cereal? Dead grass. But... okay, but what if she's dressed like super hoey, right? Like then that's her fault for making me like think about that, right? Oh, you got trouble with that? Okay, yeah, I've got a great solution for you. Okay, yeah, what? Yeah, you could just take a spoon like this and, gouge out your eye. Just that sucker out. Are you dead grass? Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, good to know. Let me tell y'all, my Jesus, my J-Dog stories with Liv. Today's story comes from the book of 1 Samuel. So we got the Philistines and the Israelites, right? And they were in a war throwing hands with each other. And one day a massive beefcake of a dude comes up from the Philistine camp and he's like, what up, dudes? My name's Goliath. You can call me Bro-Life. I'm 9 feet tall and the starting pitcher at UCLA. I'm more yoked than an egg. I'm beefier than a Mickey D's patty. This war is like hella whack. So if someone can beat me with some major domination, we'll let you guys win and we'll be your servants. Hype or nah? And the Israelites are like, okay, that's chill, but like Goliath is an absolute unit. We don't have anyone that could beat him. And then a homie named David comes up and he's like, you guys, I got this. And the Israelites are like, yeah, right. He's a shepherd. But David's like, nah, bros, I've got God on my side. And God is better than having like a million dudes and a weed whacker on my side. So he goes to the little river and he grabs some stones and his slingshot and he goes up to Goliath. And Goliath's like, my dudes, are you yanking my chain right now? All right, prepare for some major humiliation. And everyone's watching like it's the Super Bowl and the Chicago Cubs are in it. And David puts a tiny little stone in his slingshot and he spins it around and around. He sends it flying up at Goliath and it hits Goliath. Smack in the forehead, and Goliath falls to the ground completely unconscious. Nicely done, guys. With Liv. Today's story comes from the book of Judges. So there's this homie named Gideon, right? And there's some skanky hoes called the Midianites who were hella evil. And God was like, I'm gonna teach you a lesson. God sends an angel to Gideon, and the angel's like, what's poppin'? What's good? Listen, God's gonna use you to take down the Midianites. Okay. Gideon didn't really trust the angel, so he tests him a couple times, and the angel yeets the test into oblivion. And finally, he's like, alrighty, let's do this. Yeah. So Gideon's like, alright, step one, we go build an army. And he gets 22,000 men ready to throw hands with the Midianites. But God's like, yo, Gideon, that's too many. What? Yeah, if you went with 22,000 dudes, you guys will be all like, we did this, not God. And that's not legit. Dude, yeah, facts. I'm too legit to quit. All right, if anybody's too scared, you can leave now. And 12,000 people leave. And God's like, yeah, that's still too much. What? Yeah, all right, take them to the river and tell them to take a drink. And they do it. And God's like, all right, whoever laps up the water like a dog will stay. And whoever kneels down, dip out. And they do it, and only 300 men are left. And God's like, I bet. And so one night with 300 men led by Gideon, they sneak into the Midianite camp and blow trumpets. And the Midianites are like, mother trucker, dude. Are killing each other. And Gideon's mere 300 dudes defeated one of the biggest armies ever because God is a straight G. Stories with Liv. Today's story comes from the book of John. So Jesus' 12 best buds and Jesus' mom are invited to a wedding. Heck yeah. And they go to the wedding and they're just partying, they're drinking, they're booling around. It's a good time. Me pan, but then, there's no more wine. There's no more wine. Everyone knows it's disgraceful to run out of wine for the guests. Everybody knows that. So Jesus' mom goes to Jesus and she's like, son. Yeah, mom, what's up? What? There's no more wine? And you're like, Mom, why are you bringing this to me? You know my time hasn't come yet. Okay. But she goes to the servants nearby and she's like, okay, just do whatever he tells you. And they're like, bet. And Jesus goes to his servants and he's like, okay, guys, you see those 6 big jars over there? Fill them up with water to the brim. And they're like, okay. And they do it and then they go back to Jesus and Jesus is like, okay, now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. And they're like, yeah, okay. And they take the water to the master, but when the master drinks it, it becomes wine. He's like, where'd you... I don't know. Stories with Liv. Today's story comes from the book of Exodus, the story of Moses, part 1. Get hype! So we start in Egypt and Pharaoh starts getting antsy about the Israelites. He's all like, these Hebrew people are getting too dangerous, too powerful. We should cut them down to size, period. So Pharaoh actually orders the murder of all the little Hebrew boys. That ass. And here's where we open on Moses. Well, his name actually wasn't Moses yet. This kid was born to a Hebrew woman. She was like, oh crap, my son's gonna get killed by the Egyptians. That sucks. So she makes the decision to stick him in a little basket that she fashioned out of reeds and sends him down the river to save his life. Grim start to the story, right? So little baby Moses floats on down the river until he arrives at the bank of the Egyptian palace and is spotted by Pharaoh's daughter. And she's like, a baby, a Hebrew baby. But she takes pity on him. Aw, and she's like, I'm gonna take care of this baby. I'm gonna call him Moses because I drew him out of the water. Because apparently Moses means draw out of the water or something. I don't know. So Moses, a Hebrew dude, a Hebrew homie, grows up in Egypt in Pharaoh's own household. And I like to imagine that Moses was a bona fide snack. Story's just getting started, y'all. Part 2 coming soon.